of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First item, approving the agenda for October 22nd. And before I get a motion, we got a lot of stuff on the consent agenda, but I'd like to pull 7 and 11, the safe space and the AECom extension. So if we could get a motion pulling 7 and 11 on the agenda. We got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Reinhardt?
Aye.
Carter?
Yes.
Modis Castillo?
Yes.
McGuire?
Aye.
Ortega?
Aye.
McDonough?
Aye. Next item is to approve the minutes from October 8th, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any corrections? Roll call.
Reinhardt?
Aye.
Carter?
Yes.
Modis Castillo?
Aye.
McGuire?
Aye.
Ortega?
Aye.
McDonough?
Aye. Our next item is a proclamation from Social Services. The proclamation is Ramsey County Foster Care Provider Appreciation Day, and Commissioner McGuire. And any folks that are here for this, come on up. All the foster care providers, the staff, anybody associated with this, come on up. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. It is my extreme honor and privilege to present this proclamation on behalf of the board and Ramsey County to our foster families who provide such an amazing, much needed and loving service to our vulnerable adults and children. So I will read the proclamation. I'm welcoming the group behind me. First of all, Ann Berry, our Interim Director of Social Services, Kim Clemenson, Director of Children and Family Services Division, Brian Thien, the Manager of the Family Support Program, Tally Jordan, the Supervisor, Foster Care Licensing Unit, Jim Lund, the Supervisor of the Foster Care Licensing Unit, Jane Johnson, the Foster Parent, and Doris Poole, Foster Parent. Thank you all for being here. So I will now read the proclamation. Whereas Ramsey County foster families open their homes and hearts to our most vulnerable adults and children in need, and whereas foster families not only provide shelter and food, but also safe and healthy environments that cultivate the physical, intellectual, emotional, and social development of adults and children. And whereas in Ramsey County, there are 1,033 licensed child foster care providers and 90 licensed adult foster care homes with 1,046 children and 243 adults in foster homes on any given day. And whereas foster care providers often face a difficult yet rewarding job, the children and adults they help are often scared, depressed, or have a hard time trusting others. And whereas foster families need wisdom, patience, and humor to ensure that the children and adults they help feel safe and loved. And whereas the need for loving foster care providers is as high as ever in Ramsey County and throughout the nation, and whereas foster care providers will be honored at the annual Foster Care Appreciation Celebration on October 24th, 2019, now therefore be it proclaimed, the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners, on behalf of the residents of Ramsey County, thank the many dedicated people who provide loving and supportive foster care homes, and be it further proclaimed, the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners declares October 24th, 2019 as Foster Care Provider Appreciation Day in Ramsey County. Okay, so. You can say your name again.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. I'm Kim Clemenson, Division Director for Children and Family. I'd like to introduce, Ann Berry is our Director, Brian Thine is the Manager for Foster Care, and Tally Jordan is the Supervisor. Nicole Paradise is here and Barb Cannon. And then I would like to have Tally introduce the providers.
Hello, this
morning.
is Doris Poole. Miss Poole has been a foster care provider for about 40 years. 44. Okay, excuse me, 44. And Miss Johnson has also been a foster care provider for 24 years.
So on behalf of the staff and the providers, we're very grateful for this, and thank you very much.
Thank you. And on behalf of the board, we appreciate all the work the staff does in helping support our kids and families in the community, and especially to our foster care families and parents that step up to be there for children in our community and to make a difference. And we appreciate everything that all of you do. Thank you. And we're going to get a picture. Yeah, we can clap another time. And squeeze in there. We'll get a nice picture for everybody. Yeah, right. Thank you. All right. Our next item is also a proclamation, and it's a Ramsey County Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And Commissioner Reinhardt will present that. And as we transition, anybody that's here for the domestic violence, Shelley, I see you, and anybody from your team, and come on up.
There's room for everybody.
Welcome.
We all there? All right. Well, it is also my honor and privilege to present this proclamation. Shelley, we've been through a lot, and this whole group just really represents the hope and the help that is here for people that are trying to deal with domestic violence. So I will read the proclamation. Whereas domestic violence is a pattern of behavior used to gain or maintain power and control over an intimate partner and happens to 1 in 3 women, and whereas domestic violence involves physical, sexual, psychological, and economic abuse, intimidation, and isolation, and whereas domestic violence touches the lives of Americans of all ages, backgrounds, and circumstances when a home becomes a place of fear, hopelessness, and desperation, leaving a devastating impact on women, men, and children and the community. And whereas we express compassion and take action for the families, friends, and communities that have experienced the pain of domestic violence, as at least 14 people died in Minnesota due to domestic abuse in 2018 alone, in which more than half were killed with firearms. And whereas Ramsey County is recognized as a national leader for its work on domestic violence, ranging from the critical work of the county attorneys and sheriff's offices to our county community corrections, social services, and public health. And whereas over 1,600 orders for protection are filed in Ramsey County each year, and whereas we honor the pioneering work of advocates who founded one of the nation's first shelters, who have been instrumental in the creation of national models that reduce domestic violence and homicides, and who implemented culturally relevant services and responses, which is so incredibly important. Whereas, as a county, we acknowledge that solutions to end domestic violence can happen with the commitment of our entire community, as we can see, to ensure the safety of survivors and to work closely with our community-based partners in realizing the vision of a peaceful, violence-free community. Now therefore be it proclaimed, the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners declares October 2019 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Ramsey County. And having been one in three, myself and my first marriage, I just, this is so near and dear to my heart, and the work that everyone has done. The tools that I received through the county to make sure that I not only survived and my kids, but thrived. And here I am today. And so I want people to understand how much support there is in the community, more so today than there was back in the 1980s. But it's so incredibly important to raise awareness and to understand what the signs are, and to try to reach out to people and to know that there is help and there is hope. So if I get emotional about this one, it's because it's personal. So I just want to say thank you and bring Shelley up here.
Welcome, Shelley.
Hi. Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt. And thank you, all of you, county commissioners. I stand here today as the St. Paul Ramsey County Domestic Abuse Intervention Project, otherwise known as SPIP. And I also stand here with my sister programs in Ramsey County, Tubman, Casa de Esperanza, Women's Advocates, Eagle's Nest, Asian Women United. We all band together to serve victims of domestic violence. And that's one of our focuses, and that's the most important. We serve over 5,800 victims and their children each year. But the second tier to what all of us do is we're here to stop domestic violence. We're here to stop all forms of oppression, because when one person's held down, we are all held down. And that would not be possible without all of you and without the Ramsey County sheriffs, probation, the prosecutors from the Ramsey County Attorney's Office, and then it goes into our city partners, the city attorney, the St. Paul Police, on it goes. We have a wealth of partnerships, and from that, we've created the Blueprint for Safety, and we're going into our 10th anniversary on the Blueprint for Safety. And what we've just started as a group is an initiative to create a national model to get firearms out of the hands of dangerous perpetrators. And with 50% of the homicides on domestics are with firearms, and 25% of those children witness their parent killed. But we're hopeful, we're together, and I have to tell you, it's this county, it's this board, it's this community that keeps taking it to the next level. And we're all in this together, and I'm very, very proud to be standing here with all of you today and all these wonderful people behind me. Thank you.
A quick couple of things here. I walked over with Dennis from the county attorney's office this morning, and he said, we're getting our first planning meeting for our hockey game coming up. And you're all well. St. Paul and Ramsey County have been doing for a number of years a fundraising for a friendly game of hockey, and we'll be planning to repeat that again this year. And every year we've increased our ability to bring money and flexible money that can really help you and the organizations
Well, and if I
that stand
may
with you.
add, that the money from the hockey game goes right into direct services, and what it enables us to do is send an advocate out with a police officer and a police investigator on highly lethal crimes.
Yeah.
And it's that type of a program that reduced domestic violence in St. Paul by over 65%. So that money is a gift to us. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we're going to get everybody in tight for a picture here. We'll get a nice picture. Thank you again. Commissioner Ortega, I think you're the only one that haven't been on the coach's bench for that game, and this year we're getting you on there.
Keep trying.
We got a few months here. We're going to get you. All right. Our next, we're up with the administrative items. Commissioner Reinhardt, and a reminder, item 7 and 11, we're going to pull for separation.
Okay.
So if you want to take us through
Thank
the
you.
administration items.
Mr. Chair, I will move item 8, 9, 10, 12, and 13. Oh, wait a minute. I got 14 also.
Excellent. We have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Roll call.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Carter,
Yes.
Modis Castillo.
Yes.
McGuire.
Aye.
Ortega.
Aye.
McDonough.
Aye. Item number 7, single source agreement with Model Cities for safe space emergency shelter service. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And I wanted to pull this because this has been quite the journey. You know, 2 years ago, we opened it for a temporary one-season bridge to help us in a crisis situation. And the truly focus was one season, and as a bridge, we wanted to continue doing focus. And by the time we were done with that first winter, we knew we were gonna have to think about how we got that open again for the second year. And I wanna thank our partners in the community, St. Paul Foundation, the City of St. Paul. We were able to come together, Catholic Charities, Met Transit, Public Housing, for that second year. And after the second year, we started almost talking immediately as how are we gonna get this into a year-round operation? Because until we do better in so many other areas, we're gonna have a lot of unsheltered folks on our streets, and we gotta do better than just under bridges and in tents. And so this has been a journey. Catholic Charities has been a great partner, but with the opening of Higher Ground and the Opportunity Center, and they're at capacity and looking for community partners, and I want to recognize Max. And Max, maybe you can come up and just talk a little bit about your efforts here, because this has been there's been a long piece here of trying to get the community. Trista and I and Dr. Allwood, we brought 15 partners together to really try to get people to think about how we could do this and provide this service. And then we turned it over to Max to figure out how to actually bring forward a contract, and that's what we have before us today.
Chair, Commissioners, thank you for having me up here. I want to introduce Kizzy Downey, the Executive Director of Model Cities.
Oh, welcome. Thank you for being here.
So these conversations about who would run the shelter this year started this summer. And we brought together the provider community. And really grateful for Kizzy for stepping up and saying, hey, I would be interested in continuing that conversation. And here we are today, about to open the shelter in a couple of weeks, exploring new referral systems with new partners, outreach partners, still collaborating with Metro Transit, City of St. Paul, Catholic Charities, Radius, People Inc. They're all in the room still, and we're all still working together. And so with that, I'll switch it over to Kizzy, and she can explain more about her story.
Sure.
Welcome.
Greetings, Chair and Commissioners. Again, my name is Kizzy Downey. I'm the CEO at Model Cities of St. Paul. And as you may be aware, Model Cities is a nonprofit organization that's been around since 1967. And since our inception, our focus has been on working to meet the unmet needs of individuals, youth, and families in our community. So for us, Safe Space is no different. We're truly honored to take on this endeavor and to partner with Ramsey County as well as the other service providers who are working diligently to help end homelessness in Ramsey County. So on behalf of our board and staff at Model Cities, we thank you for your support, and we look forward to working together to bring more emergency shelter options to folks in Ramsey County who are experiencing homelessness. So thank you.
Thank you. And maybe one of you could talk a little bit. I think we're actually doing a little bit more on the dignity aspect as people use our shelter and actually making some improvements there so the experience is more respectful for folks.
Yeah. So last year in 2018, we extended hours from 10 p.m. It was 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. and it became 10 p.m. to 9 a.m. So you could really have that time in the morning to connect with service workers and outreach workers and start to get connected to other services as well. This year, we're also focusing on we're lifting people. People were sleeping on mats before on the ground, and we're lifting them off the ground and putting them onto cots. And that provides a little sense of dignity and really an incentive to get inside. And that's really the goal here, is to get people from outside to inside. And we're also going to still have showers. There's new laundry machines so people can actually do their laundry and come out the next day a little cleaner, a little more refreshed as well.
Great. Well, thanks, Max, to your efforts and to Model Cities. We really appreciate and look forward to the partnership. Commissioner Reinhardt.
Well, I just wanted to comment that I was at an event this weekend with the chair of the Metropolitan Council, Nora Slawick, and she reached out to me with a special thank you about having this be something that is permanent and how important it is to the whole region. And so they were very happy to partner with us, along with a whole lot of other folks, to make this happen. But I wanted to let you know that it is noticed and appreciated.
Commissioner Mattis-Castillo.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to Model Cities for stepping into this role and an expansion of your existing services that you've been serving our community. This is really exciting. We know that the growth of people experiencing homelessness is on the rise, and we've tapped out our long-term partners for a long time, and so it's really great to have a new community partner step into this role. It's really exciting for us, and it's a great step forward to solving this issue of homelessness. So I just wanted to especially say thanks, and thanks to Max for all your work. I know you've been working, we've been meeting, we've been out seeing the community, and so thank you for all your hard work and your staff around you and the whole team that is coming together to make sure that we can address this year-round. We can keep people safe and warm, and as we continue to grow these services, to make sure that we're serving all of the people in need. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Great. Commissioner Carter.
So thank you to Commissioner Mattis-Castillo for speaking from my heart. And I also just wanted to say a special thanks to Model Cities for stepping up. Now, I know that being involved in this conversation and aligning it with the services you already provide is an opportunity for all of us. And I think in particular to just recognize that you have been doing this work for a very long time, that you have provided housing for families, that you have provided respectful and dignified housing, and have come alongside so many families in our community already. We are just very, very thankful that you would see this as an opportunity with us, and we look very forward to working with you to observe enhanced outcomes and build upon this work for our future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
McGuire.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to add my thanks and gratitude to Model Cities and to you, Max, for all this work, and to just say that, all of us around this table are involved at the state and federal level also, and just getting those partners on board with us. And I would say that this is an issue, unfortunately, homelessness is an issue that is shared by, I think, every county in the state and every county in the country. And so we're going to have some strong allies, I think, with all the other counties around, that we really need our state and federal partners to help us come to the table and help us with this issue.
One more piece to this has been County Manager O'Connor started, I think, when we started the rush work as Director of Policy and Planning. And then when we started to work on the safe space, he was Deputy County Manager. And now when we're coming full circle here to the year-round safe space County Manager. So I want to recognize your work, and you create a solving problem here on whether it's money or how do we get licensing involved to make sure we can make this work. And I know there's a great team behind you helping do that, but thanks for all your work. And if you wanted to say a few words on that.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chair, and there is a team behind that. Tina Curry's here today, the Director of Financial Assistance Services. She's been riding shotgun the whole way through that entire timeline that the board chair just laid out. But for her work and Ali over the last few months, helping to step into a leadership space on this, and Dr. Paul Allwood, who you have a deputy who's been taking phone calls at different moments, solving for individual issues of homelessness on the Capitol steps, for example, a few months ago, when nobody else knows how to problem solve it or where to go. The state called him, and for 2 days, while both acknowledging this isn't the way we can do this long term, but right now we have to deal with what's in front of us, right? There's a lot of people behind the scenes, and there are so many more within Tina's department and Paul's service team that I want to highlight. And Max, you've really helped to bring it all together. A big thanks to you, Gene Kruger, on the property management side of We have moved to a place on this work of saying, how do we get to yes? And you have to be there. It's a very difficult challenge. Many of you have sat in the regional conversations, and I kind of wanted to end it there. I think one of the biggest wins, as I was thinking about this agreement coming through today, is model cities becoming a player in a space they haven't been is a huge deal for the East Metro and for this entire region. And in the moment of executing an agreement, sometimes we lose the bigger piece. But I was telling someone this weekend who was asking about this, I said, I think the biggest win long term is bringing another partner to bear on this important work. So I thank you and your board for that commitment. This has been a challenging regional conversation, particularly for Ramsey County, because we've been loud and vocal on our need to see partnerships. We can't do this work alone. We need to see the state step up. We need to see our regional partners. There have been inklings of hope that the region is changing in terms of their own acknowledgement. There are suburban counties that have talked about the need for capacity and shelter, for example, which was not a conversation a year ago. And it's fruitful to see that. And I'll end with, we need to continue to link this to our ideas around the supply and policy on the housing side more broadly. You cannot solve affordable housing issues through homelessness responses. That being said, when there are individuals outside at night, we need to meet them where they're at and make sure they're safe. And so I do think this is some of our best collective action and teamwork to make it all come together. Long way to go, but thanks to everybody around this table for their support on an issue that a lot of people would just rather turn away from.
All right, thank you. Roll call.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
Carter.
Yes.
Mas Castillo.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Ortega. McDonough.
Aye. Our next item is item 11 from Community and Economic Development. It's a second preliminary development agreement with AECOM for Ramsey County riverfront properties. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Second. And I did want to just pull this because this has been one of our biggest priorities that we've been working on for, Raphael, maybe 15 years.
More than that.
So this is a pretty good day. So Raphael, maybe you want to say a few words, and I know we got folks from AECOM too here if there's any questions.
Well, maybe they want to come up, but, you know, it's over 20 years I've been working on this to get that property developed, and the opportunity showed itself, and we had to do heavy renovations on it, and the decision became fiscally more prudent to move forward with this development. And we went through a lot of, you know, we took down the building, we built the wall to protect the bluff. The building was polluted, we took away. But the most important thing that people don't know is that we recycled and reused close to 80% of what was inside that building. And I think that's a feat that most people do not realize. But now we're at AECOM, you know, Lee and I took a trip to AECOM to look at some of the work AECOM had done on the East Coast, and were impressed, and they put in a bid. There were other bidders that were local, and they also provided a very good, you know, performer for us to look at. But the vision, I think AECOM captured the vision of this board, the connection to the river, the values we had, the public space. And so, and part of the balcony, which is another vision, which includes several of our properties. I mean, it all tied together, and along with this board, of course, we moved it forward. And at this stage, it looks good. I'm still crossing my fingers and making sure that Brian and his team perform all the way to the goal line here. But so far, it's been good, and we're moving forward. And of course, we're now looking at how do we. I understand negotiations are going well with the railroads and with the electric company. So I think there are going to be other big improvements that are part of this or byproducts of this project that will make our state capital an even better place to come and visit and live in.
I don't think there's anything better to prove that things are still good than the action we're taking here to continuing the partner for another year. So, Ryan, why don't you introduce yourself and if you want to say a few words about
Brian
moving
Dusick,
forward.
AECOM. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Commissioner Ortega. Thank you for the kind words. We're excited about continuing this effort and to add to what Commissioner Ortega, what you said, this is really, we see it too, evolving into this catalyst for the entire downtown riverfront. And to that end, a lot of the efforts that we're working on right now with the surveying work and everything like that is really almost extending beyond our site and actually looking at the entire riverfront, from burying the power line to how we're working with the railroads. It really extends beyond just the development area that we're talking about and investing in, and really looking at the entire downtown corridor. So it's taking a little bit longer for some of those pieces for that reason, but the results will be exciting at the end.
Great. Yeah, I think it really validates, you know, the piece here about the public connection and the work that's being a part of that scope of, for the first time, really, this community having an opportunity to be connected directly to the river in a, you know, basically brand new urban park connection that's going to be a part of this project, and really looking forward to partnering with you and our community supporters here and finding the funds to make sure we can get that done, because I think once we can get that done, you can maybe deliver 2 towers.
That's correct. Maybe even more than 2.
All right. Commissioner Reinhardt.
And I also want to say thank you. I mean, this is an exciting time for us, for all of us, to finally see this coming to fruition because it has been a long time. And so I really appreciate that. I also appreciate how much of a partner you have proven to be in the area of housing and affordable housing, mixed income housing, and how that can work for the entire St. Paul, in Ramsey County, and stepping forward to really have that conversation and acknowledge it. So I appreciate the support of working together in making that happen for our county.
Thank you.
Great. All right. Roll call. Thank you.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
Carter.
Aye.
Modis Castillo. McGuire.
Aye.
Ortega.
Aye.
McDonough.
Aye. All right. Our next item is from Finance. It's the 2020 Capital Improvement Program Bond Ordinance waiving the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
Carter.
Yes.
Modis Castillo.
Yes.
McGuire.
Aye.
Ortega.
Aye.
McDonough.
Aye. Our next item is also from Finance. It's the 2020 Capital Improvement Program Bond Ordinance setting the public hearing date for November 12th, 2019 at 9 a.m. in this chambers.
So moved. Second.
We have motion and second. Roll call.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
Carter.
Yes.
Modis Castillo.
Yes.
McGuire.
Aye.
Ortega.
Aye.
McDonough.
Aye. County Manager O'Connor, County Connections, and welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back. Tons of potential connections, but we'll limit it to 3 today. I wanted to start by reminding everyone that the annual charitable campaign is underway. Started last week, runs through November 1st. And what is the charitable campaign? It's a chance for county staff to donate to different causes that benefit county residents who are served by hundreds of area nonprofits and charities. And our employees have begun exchanging giving grams. I have a giving gram here. You can buy giving grams for $1. I always am a good, happy recipient of giving grams if you're looking for someone to send one to, just saying. Then I always buy up the rest of the candy and leave it in my office so when Commissioner Ortega comes over to meet, we're good to go. But these giving grams are a great way for people to recognize team members and colleagues and others across the county. They've been one of those pieces that over time are routinely cited as one of the favorite parts of the charitable giving campaign. It allows people a chance to stop and say thank you to their colleagues in a way that also raises money for charity. Beginning October 28th, we do our automatic payroll deduction options for employees as well through our Summit payroll system. And there's an online auction of donations going on right now too. So if you've ever wanted to go on a ride along of a snowplow, or you want to go take a behind the scenes tour of the medical examiner's office, this is your chance to get your bid in and make it happen.
Don't forget the cupcakes.
And the cupcakes. Tons of stuff online all through November 1st on RamseyNet for all of our employees. And a huge thanks to everybody who makes this go, but specifically Keith Lattimore, this year's chair of the campaign committee, and then Vice Chair Meg Ledbetter. They've been working hard to make this work, and it's not just a 1 month a year piece, so huge thank you to both Keith and Meg for all the work they put in to make it happen. We've talked about this item once before at the board, but I wanted to bring it up because Prince in our office. Oh, he was here. Oh, there you are. Prince has joined the county manager's office as the racial and health equity administrator just recently in a new role, but had previously been with Workforce Solutions, and in his work was working on the People's Fellowship. And so I came across an email a couple weeks ago I flagged, and the People's Fellowship was an innovative partnership between Workforce Solutions, a number of community partners, the St. Paul Promise neighborhood, to rethink the way in which we engage and work with families on MFIP to see if we can get better results. And in Prince resharing his own information from the final report with us, and I'll actually ask that we'll send it to the board. We'll coordinate that out again as a follow-up if you want to see the whole piece. You know, we had 20 families in that first cohort, 22 parents, 46 children. We had a 94% attendance rate at Parent Power, 90% completed financial literacy classes, 87% attendance rate. And we know that these are families and individuals that are often facing a lot of upending circumstances. These numbers are unheard of. We saw a 2 to 4 grade level increase in the individuals who completed the Sankofa program as a part of this. And of the 22 parents who started, 20 of them completed the People's Fellowship, with one moving out of the country. I think we're going to we'll give an excused absence for that. And one had a medical reason that came up. There's a ton, though, on the wealth building and the asset building, the education and employment and experience. I'll just leave you with the employment rate for families in the fellowship was 50%, which is 10% higher than the regular MFIP population. And they just are starting cohort 2, which is why I wanted to bring this up today to everyone's attention. With the other piece that we've been noticed for this has been a regional conversation that continues. And that question of how do we as a county continue to lean into what we're seeing here and finding ways to both be culturally specific and lean in with families and empower families? How do we build that to scale? 20 families is important. 100 participants is a big deal, but we all know that's not big enough. And that'll be an ongoing challenge that I just wanted to share with all of you, for all of us to think about, is how do we continue to take that to scale and challenge the state to let us take it to scale in ways that we may be restricted under the current laws as they currently read. Finally, I want to thank Janet Guthrie and Jenny Zhang, Lee Merkins, and Dushani Dai for spending time with me last night at the Charter Commission's meeting where we talked about the budget. We did our annual presentation to the Charter Commission. I opened by saying, you know, it is required that I be here to share the budget with them. And then we moved away from the required piece and actually talked about the same budget presentation you all received on August 6th that went around the county to 4 different meetings after that. It was a different budget conversation than a year ago. It was a really neat conversation to be a part of. I think the CFO summed it up really well at the end and said, we've been on an evolution from a budget where we were very department specific, and then we looked at service teams. And this time you go around that wheel of the priorities and you can see how we're trying to start at a county first lens and asking the question of what matters the most. And the conversation was great. And it was a 7 o'clock meeting that could have gone until 10. But thankfully they let me out before that. And so big thanks to all the staff who were a part of that conversation. It was exciting. A lot of interest in the Transforming Systems Together work, a lot of positive support for the ideas around residents first and how that matters, and opportunities to do feedback in a way with that group that really means a great deal. So I'll end there.
Good, thank you. Commissioner Reinhardt, outside board and committee reports.
Well, there have been a lot of things that have been going on the last couple of weeks. I guess I'll just highlight 2 of them. They're kind of connected anyway. The Clean Water Council met yesterday, and we are busy really making sure that we're looking at outcomes and looking at our work strategically, because 2034 will be here before we know it, and that's when the legacy amendment funds need to be renewed or go away. And the fact is, there's not enough in that to really get to where we want to be as a state. But we are making incredible progress, I believe, with that recognition, kind of like the work we do here. We know that we can't do it alone and that there's no perfect answer to make things better, but we are really committed to the idea of making sure that the clean water funds are used to make water across the state swimmable, fishable, drinkable, and making sure that individuals understand how they are empowered to make a difference. Because sometimes when you're talking about things like the environment, and in this case, particularly water, people don't necessarily know all of the tools that they have and what they can do as an individual and how that makes a difference, just as in recycling and reuse. I mean, all of that, it adds up to a better environment and to help with the climate change issues that we are facing. I also attended the Water Resources Conference that's put put on by the University of Minnesota. I don't even know how many years they've been doing it, but they had over 800 attendees and looking at all aspects of water and as a resource, and how do we really understand. I mean, we know it's important, we know it's life in general, but at the same time, it seems like it's such a big issue that, again, individually, we can't do a lot. I can tell you that some of the things that I sat in on, I mean, I have been working at the national level on harmful algae bloom, which is probably not something that people talk about a whole lot. But when I was in that session, it was like, oh my goodness, we really need to try to deal with this, and how it honestly goes back to being connected to climate change and the heating up of the water and what that means as far as swimmable and fishable recreational areas within Minnesota. But also very positive news about the science and what we are trying to move forward with. So the last week and a half have been one of the biggest issues that I've been working on is clean water. Obviously incredibly important, and I appreciate all of the partnerships from the state to the local communities and what everyone is trying to do to make sure that awareness is raised and that the public is empowered.
Thank you. Commissioner Mattis-Castillo.
Yes, so as you know, I missed a board meeting because I was participating in our sister city exchange in Changsha, China, and I just wanted to share a couple things. That it was a great, very quick, short trip, but you know, at a time when our national politics and diplomacy is strained, especially with China, it was really an example of what we can do at a local level, meeting directly with our sister city, and it was truly an act of good diplomacy. We were joined by the Consulate General of China on the trip, who has been in China for the last 20 years and said never before had he ever experienced a relationship like this between the U.S. and China. So he said what we have done there on that exchange has really been remarkable. That, you know, the Chinese markets right now are the hottest markets. Everyone is trying to get those markets. Their economy is growing, and they now have more people in the middle class than we do in the U.S. And so we're really working on how do we bring those folks here for tourism and jobs and business. And so there was quite an excitement to have some of that happening, and folks coming to St. Paul and Ramsey County for the first time. They were especially interested in our park system, which is pretty exciting. You know, that's not something they have a lot of resources around. They have some nice parks, but they're pretty small. Just a few local regional parks for 8 million people in the city of Changsha. So they were very excited about our parks as well as shopping in general. So we will bring them here and bring them to St. Paul. So it was a great trip and a good opportunity for me to experience that as well. And then two other quick things. I have been appointed to the State Treatment Courts Advisory Council that covers treatment courts and veterans courts, along with our Chief Judge, Gotham, to serve on that. And so I was able to participate in our first quarterly meeting this week, which is really exciting to hear how the court system, what the rules around our treatment courts and improving those courts. We do a very good job here in Ramsey County, and we can be proud of that. And then we were able to approve a new treatment court in Mille Lacs County, so it's great to see our partners moving in that direction as well. And then I have also been appointed to AMC's Policy Council on Economic Development and Workforce Housing, and so excited to continue my work in that arena and move towards a state level. And then two quick reminders. We have open houses for our great public works activities with community engagement. The Rice Street redesign open house is coming up on the 29th at Washington Tech High School from 5 to 7. And then Cleveland Avenue redesign and kind of final designs there at the Falcon Heights City Hall on the 30th at 4:30.
Thank you. Commissioner Carter.
Well, there is so much going on. To connect to that last report from Commissioner Mattis-Castillo, I'd like to mention my thanks and our thanks, I know, to Ling Becker, our Director of Workforce Solutions, who will also be serving appointed to the committee with you on employment and economic development. So that's fantastic. I'll share that since we did not have a meeting last week, I haven't reported, at least I don't remember that I could have reported, that I attended St. James Church along with a member of our health and wellness service team and directly from public health, Ms. Fatima Hussein. A couple of weeks ago, there was a national conference here on advanced illness care. And as a part of that conference, St. James AME Church, which is in St. Paul, in my district in St. Paul, initiated a partnership with a national organization to focus on care of people with advanced illness in our communities, in particular in African American communities. We were invited to participate in the launch of this partnership, and I'm just very thankful that Ms. Fatima Hussein came from our public health department to share information, from our social services department. I got confused because I talked with Ann Berry about that. And as you know, Ann Berry is now temporary in social services and had been in public health as the director. In any case, Ms. Fatima Hussein came and she shared information on MnChoices and MnChoices eligibility and how, in fact, we can connect people to be able to stay safely in their homes with services through MnChoices. Now, she didn't just share about MnChoices, but it's important to know that these kind of services can be a secret, and that when people don't know about them and they're dealing with parents or members of their family who have serious and advanced illnesses without those kinds of services, it can be extremely difficult. So this is about helping people to live safe and healthy lives and to remain in our community. So thank you to Ms. Fatima Hussein for being there for the launch of that national partnership in our community. I also want to mention that I attended the Family First Advisory Committee meeting. The Family First Advisory, which is a statewide level committee I've mentioned before. I should just share with you that those committee meetings are now opening up in work groups to all of us and to people in our community. The effort is to get people involved, in particular those who are working to provide a focus on out-of-home placement and the reduction of out-of-home placement, and a focus in our community on providing preventive services for young people who would otherwise be in out-of-home placement. So there's information on the state website about the Family First Advisory Committee meeting and about its stakeholder teams that are inviting others to participate. I attended a play at Penumbra Theater, and it's called Pipeline. It was profound, and I'd like to share with all of you because I think it's over at the end of the month at Penumbra Theater. Pipeline brings to life the story of a young man who connects to the criminal justice system at a point in his life when he and his mother have been looking forward to his successful development, and instead his trajectory changes dramatically. This is not just a story of one individual, but it's a story of many whom we come in contact with here at Ramsey County. And I'd recommend, if you're able to see Pipeline, please do. Penumbra has partnered with us and has provided workshops for our staff and community focused on racial equity. This play raises that, to an audience of very, very many as to what we can do and how we can respond in order to help young people who otherwise could be stuck in those unfortunate trajectories. I also was able to provide greetings at the second annual Rondo Plaza event, and it was a wonderful celebration of the memorial to Rondo that has been erected along Highway 94. And I was just really, really impacted by the fact that this is a marker to what has happened in our community throughout the years, but not only to the past of Rondo, the separation of the freeway of those communities in the 50s and 60s, but also to the work that is happening toward the renaissance of those communities and the manner in which all of us have participated and continue to participate in creating that positive story for the future that is being developed and played out right now at this point in time. The Commissioner of Transportation was there to share again in the regret of the Department of Transportation, the state of Minnesota, as to what was done in that community, and to continue to build upon that apology and the design for the future. I'll mention also and ask Commissioner McDonough to share that I participated along with Commissioner McDonough, our policy director, leaders of multiple departments in Ramsey County, members from the city, the courts, from our community, in an activity in Montgomery, Alabama, where we were able to attend the museum and the memorial to the lynchings that happened in our country. There are memorials in that museum in Montgomery, Alabama, that can be taken to each county where a lynching occurred. And the names of those individuals, at least those that are known, because of course many are not, the names of those individuals who suffered that horrible fate are imprinted on these memorials that can be taken from the museum back to the counties. The museum has also created a process through which dirt, ground from those lands where those lynchings occurred, can be brought to the museum and preserved there as a part of that memorial, and I should say to the memorial. The museum itself records knowledge of the history of lynchings in this country, but not only of lynchings, of the progression of slavery, to lynchings during the era of Reconstruction, through the Civil Rights era and the changes that occurred there, up until this very day in our criminal justice system. The memorial chronicles the manner in which those attitudes and narratives that persisted long time ago have continued throughout our systems. It was a platform for incredible work that continues here in Ramsey County toward reforming those systems and all of our systems so that we are no longer continuing the negative narrative of discrimination, of inferiority that has existed and that has impacted people of color, particularly African American and American Indian people in this country. We provided at that point in time, or we were provided through the Burns Institute with the opportunity to exchange with another county in Ohio, Lucas County in Ohio, the Toledo area, who are also doing this kind of focus on reform that Ramsey County is. Finally, I will just say that the work we are doing to get underneath the construction of systems which have worked to unfairly disadvantage people is tremendous leadership work for our county, for our state, and for our country. And the recognition of that is that we, along with Lucas County, with Burns Institute, are working to continue to build those platforms for reform together. And so thank you to all of you for the policy work that you continue to do that ensures that we continue this tremendous work.
Thank you. Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Carter and I were at the St. Paul Children's Collaborative meeting, and we heard from three amazingly powerful speakers. I just want to give just a call out to Gail Smaller, who's the executive director of New Lens, which is a mentoring program for young Black boys and men. And it is just so powerful to hear the work that's being done by that organization and funded through the Children's Collaborative. And I just hope that work can continue. We also heard an amazing conversation about gun violence from local professors at Hamlin and Metro State. And if you ever get a chance to hear Jillian Peterson from Hamlin and James Densley from Metro State talk about gun violence and the numbers and the history and what we can hopefully do about it, we should bring them in at every point we can to talk to all of our groups. So that was great at the Children's Collaborative. Then the Capital Region Watershed had several great events. One was their grand opening on Aldine Avenue in St. Paul, a great new building there, a building that they repurposed, and it's got a huge rain garden and a huge rain barrel that they collect water in, and it's just a great model for what can be done. And then last night at Lake McCarran's, of course, which is one of our Ramsey County parks, they held a meeting on their draft management plan for Lake McCarran's area, and there were a lot of neighbors, a lot of people around there. We heard from Justin Townsend, our aquatic invasive species person from Ramsey County, spoke about that. There's a lot of interest in that lake, of course, and in that area of our park, at it really being environmentally safe and sound, and also just what the homeowners can do, but what other people who visit the park can do. So that was a great start of a conversation. And they're very interested in what we are doing with that park and all of our parks. So there was a lot of interest in that conversation. And I said, we are, coming into a whole strategic planning process for our parks, and they're very interested in that. Also present at the meeting was the Rice Larpenteur Alliance, and they were able to talk about the work that we're doing in that area of Rice and Larpenteur. So it was really great to have a lot of partners in the room. And I know that with Commissioner Mattis Castillo and Commissioner Reinhardt and I and all of us are excited about this fall festival that's coming up at the Rice Street Gardens this Sunday at 1958 Rice Street. But this is there's a community garden area there, and there's going to be farmers market, family activities, and local food. So 1 to 4 this Sunday to really celebrate the Rice Larpenteur Alliance. Then the Association of Minnesota Counties, AMC, had their regular board meeting, and we learned about the Bridging Divides initiative, which is about going to all of the district meetings and talking about how we can have difficult conversations and really talk about the differences that we may have on issues, and mainly how to fund issues. I think we all agree on what issues need to be dealt with, which is transportation, mental health, childcare, out-of-home placement. It's just how to fund them. And we've been having they had their second meeting in the district meetings, and I went to one yesterday, and they are very powerful. To get a group of people coming together to talk about how do we come together and really resolve these really important issues and very difficult issues of how to fund these very important topics. And it goes from obviously, don't do no new revenue to a lot of new revenue and everywhere in between. So it's really great, and I'm really excited about the result that's going to come out after these 10 district meetings that are happening in the next 2 weeks with AMC, and I think we'll have a really strong voice at the legislature then as a result of these meetings. So that will help all of us in our work for sure in Ramsey County. And then just to talk a bit about all of the community events that are going on in the fall. I said I eat really well in the fall. I eat really well anyway, but in the fall with lots of booyahs, pancake breakfasts. The Lions had spaghetti dinners in New Brighton at the Beedale Men's Club. Taste of Northeast Youth and Family Services had their annual fundraiser, which all the restaurants give their food. They donate that for a great fundraising event for that organization. And the Ramsey County Historical Society had their annual meeting last Thursday, and the League of Women Voters are celebrating their 100th birthday at the Union Depot this next Saturday. Not this Saturday, but no, wait, it is this Saturday. This Saturday from 6 to 10 at the Union Depot. So just a lot of activities going on in the community, but good shout out to all the community partners.
Thank you, Commissioner Ortega. All right, we'll start our workshop. We've got a workshop, Ramsey County Options to Reduce the Use of Criminal Fines and Fees, in 10 minutes downstairs in room 220. We're adjourned. Thank you.